welcome, guys.
Good to be here. Thanks for
having us.
Yeah, very much. So, my end, we met at the studio. For anyone who doesn't know, we met at the studio. You come in. You guys have been coming in for a while, rehearsing and stuff. And I like what you guys are doing. You guys are well. How did you guys all meet and get together? First of all, like as a band.
So I met him in a ska band that he got out of, and I'm still having trouble signing the divorce agreement with. But it was like a lot of fun, I think, at first. But it kind of dawned on us early on that they weren't really. It was a little too produced, not very organic, and a lot of the people were more in it to be famous and to be in the music scene than they were to actually be good musicians. Mm-hmm. And it's a very white band. It still is. Our drummer she does 2 rhythms and that's about it. So we had a lot of I don't think it was really fulfilling us creatively. And he was doing his own project on the side as the My Gazelle Experiment, which was really, I like that album a lot. It was like both folky and pop almost, but with a lot of very experimental soundscaping as well. I heard it. I'm like, I want to be a part of this. And he invited me to a show at a house in Marina Del Rey, roundabouts. Play a house show somewhere around there
by Mid-Wilshire.
Yeah, somewhere in that neck of the woods. We played a house show. People kind of came and went, and before his album came out, and then he's like, I'm bringing the whole thing back. Do you want to keep playing bass? And it was very easy for me to say yes. And
that's awesome.
I don't know how Jordan got.
Yeah, how did you you guys meet?
I met Maya. I was friends with his roommate. We have the same manager.
Oh, cool.
So I went over to their house.
Oh, David or?
David, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just how I met Maya. And then I met Andrew through the band. Yeah.
Cool. I like when you guys come in. You have like a very occasionally I get to overhear some of the stuff you're doing, which is awesome. And and I like that you guys have a very like open jam mentality towards. I know we've spoke about it a few times too. I like that you guys have a open jam like type of structure to like what you're doing a lot of the times, and I know you that's kind of what you were just talking about too, is like how the ska band you were in was kind of a little too structured or something, you know. And I feel, because that's actually how I feel about music too. I like having like a more of a open structure way of like figuring out how you're going to do things, or you know, different parts of the songs. Is that kind of like what your writing process is like, or do you have do you bring something to the table and then you kind of jam it out and work it out, or?
Yeah, it's been a trip. It's been a trip since I moved to LA, and I did that album, and that was like mainly just me, you know, writing whatever I wanted. Mm-hmm. Kind of very therapeutic, going through all the demons I had inside and putting them into music. And at some point I was playing with that band too, with the ska band, and you know, I love all the guys there. But at some point I was like seeking more freedom, more like, yeah, you know, just meet God through music like that, to just be able to go to a room and just communicate with people through music without saying words, and just make something unique that every time could be unique. And since we started, like, maybe it was like the album I made, we tried to adapt a few songs for live performance with Andrew, and then Jordan and Jacob came. But as time passed, you know, we just became our own thing, like independent from anything I wrote. Like, sure, we still play some of the songs I wrote, but now we're like evolving into our own thing. And now it's not the My Gazelle Experiment, now it's Stone the Riches. Something evolving. And
we had a moment back when we were still going by your name in the band, where we got booked for a show at the Airliner, which is like very much a metal venue, and it was very much all other metal bands there. And we were talking about we're first going to play the show, but I was voiced, we don't have metal songs, guys. How are we going to do this? So we spent a day where we took 4 or 5 songs off of the album and thought, how can we make this metal? So we took a song that was originally just like him playing the charango, like
the charango, like very pretty,
and then just turned into like some like Black Sabbath, just like chugging shit, and like but we pulled it off. Like we played well. Like there weren't a ton of people at that one, but it went well, and it was kind of at that point I'm like, it's cool that this band is just all right, guys. We got one rehearsal to turn one album into a totally different genre, and we made it work.
So that's awesome. That's that's probably a really good like exercise in musicianship. Is like, okay, we have these songs, now let's play these same songs a different way.
Yeah.
Let's play them like as a, like in a
fun.
metal version. Like that's cool, and also it shows like your creative expression as like and also wanted to please the crowd in a sense, like hey, we're gonna go play this show, let's try and make it something they're really gonna enjoy because this is a metal crowd. Let's try and like cater to them a little bit and like get them to really dig what we're doing here, like I think that's cool. I think that's a really creative way to go about it.
It's like a balance for sure. Like sometimes we want to play somewhere, or I speak for myself, I want to play somewhere and I want to shock the crowd, I want to do something different. But I also want to not scream at their face and make them feel like shit like the whole time. I want to, inspire and move them and shock them, but also just like, make them have a good time. So we play shows where it's like cumbia and like more for like older people, and shows where we can do whatever we want because it's more flexible. And, it's fun.
I think that's great. I think having a wide variety of different styles and things that you're into, and being able to adjust to what your crowd is doing, I think that really helps you communicate an idea or something to the crowd better, or a feeling or whatever, because that's what music is, like expression of some kind of whatever you're making, an idea or whatever. I think that kind of really helps get your message out to the crowd. And if you could be something that like shocks them and then excites them and inspires them to do something, like what could be better than that? I think that's really great. That's a good way of going about it. You said you when did you move here, and where did you move from?
I moved here like 2 years ago from Mexico, pretty much. I mean, I studied in Boston before, but I'm pretty much an immigrant still.
That's great. We're happy to have you.
And it's been 2 years in like a month. It's been cool. It's a cool city. It's trippy. I hate it and I love it at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bullshit.
There is a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, there's a love-hate relationship with this city.
You're the only born and
but
raised.
within
so
all that
get
bullshit,
it.
there's a lot of like gold, and you just have to learn to filter a little. And that's cool.
Are you from here, or have you also come from elsewhere?
I'm from New York, actually.
Okay.
Another big city. And then I come here, and but I had to get away from the winters. I just couldn't deal with that.
I came from upstate New York, man. So it was like
You get
the
it.
same, except
we're all like
actually just as cold, but with
Boston
way more
has bad
snow.
winters.
Boston, New Jersey, New York.
Well, you're from here, man. Like,
Yeah, I lived in New Jersey for a while though.
okay.
Jersey. Yeah, Jersey's right there, right by
Yeah.
New York. Same those winters, man. They're brutal.
They suck.
They're brutal.
Not a
That's,
fan.
that's one of the main factors I moved to the extreme other corner for
Yeah.
sure.
You had a crazy Mars Volta story too, right?
Yeah, my first joint ever by the drummer, Thomas Pridgen. I saw
Really?
him when I was like a kid in Canada,
Yeah.
and it just like blew my mind. It was, I mean,
Was it a good joint?
it was a good joint.
Yeah, I bet.
This guy was like, it was like 1 a.m. in British Columbia. He was just like no shirt. I was like 13.
Yeah.
He was just like, hey man.
And it was Thomas
Pridgen, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's funny.
They played a really weird show. I think he threw Cedric threw a fan, like a fan.
Yeah,
at
like
the, at the audience at some point in the
What?
show.
He would do some crazy stuff. He would do some crazy stuff. I think at one point, even in Anti-Mask, I think he got in trouble for throwing, because he has on stage. You probably know about this. He has like hot tea kettles, like hot tea,
Damn.
like on stage, like for
What
his
the-
voice. But he like threw it on
Damn.
the crowd. He's laughing.
Yo, McDonald's can't get away with serving a cup of coffee. How does a musician get away with throwing hot water on people?
That's intense.
That's crazy. I think he got in trouble for that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
I
sure.
probably-
I'm pretty sure he got in trouble
real
for
talk.
that.
If I were in that crowd and you fucking 30-degree burn me with a kettle of water, I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about that situation.
Nah.
It's definitely circumstantial. Because if somebody's doing something really fucked up in the crowd, they might deserve it. But it depends on the situation, I think.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That's
that's pretty
funny.
pretty
That's
crazy.
wild.
Yeah. And I don't know all the details, so I could be wrong for all I know. But it was just something I saw. I think it was a couple of years ago when Anti-Mask was doing stuff. I hope the Mars Volta gets back together at some point.
Yeah, I saw I saw what is their name before the Mars Volta, the first band they did
At the drive-in.
at the drive-in. I saw the drive-in in for like 2 songs
Hmm.
in San Bernardino.
That was a good show.
With this guy, I did shrooms.
Yeah.
They're pretty
It
cool.
was System of a Down headlining though. Like I'm not trying to trip out for like this angry.
Yeah, that's
nerd rock.
heavy.
What is?
Yeah, I have trouble enough like taking hallucinogenics like around crowds of people.
Yeah.
But
it's-
even
lot of
around crowds of
energy.
people, and then with like an angsty audience, I don't know if I could do that.
I would not want to be tripping for System of a Down.
it was
No.
thousands of
I'll be
people.
stoned, but that's it.
At
Yeah.
some point, I was just like on the ground with mud with like Armenians, just like falling like in the middle of like a really
Yeah.
intense mosh pit. And we're like, oh, that's great. We're all angry.
I'm glad
You
you were
get
able to have that
If
because
we're
like,
moshing, I cannot be tripping. Like,
yeah.
No.
There was at one
Okay.
point, and
No
Sugar,
way.
they did Sugar as their encore, and at one point, I still have these pants. They're completely destroyed. I haven't had the chance to fix them. But that was the only time I got knocked down that show, and it had rained during the set, so I got knocked down, and my knees like dropped to my knees, and they sank like 6 inches just into mud. Like I felt like quicksand, and I felt right away like I need to stand up right now, or I'm going to die. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. I'm like, and then I'm looking at this guy, just like.
And then
how are
Incubus
you?
play one of the weirdest sets ever. Like,
Oh, I
it was
like Incubus.
Yeah, they played
Yeah.
a really not Incubus set.
really.
Mm.
What would I say, Andrew?
Yeah, I don't know, they impressed me. Like at one point
They
they
were very
did
different.
their Wish You Were Here, and then they covered Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, and towards the end, and I just thought at this point you guys have impressed me enough. You can do whatever the hell you want. Like, so
Yeah, they were just doing whatever they
play a
wanted.
Beatles
Great.
album for all I care.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have earned it.
Just break out Revolver.
Oh, which I respect that, and I guess it all comes back to like the Mars Volta again. Like when I saw that show, like what shocked me and like moved me the most and like really pushed me to be a musician
Mhm.
and like an artist like that was like that show that I watched. Like they were touring the Bedlam in Goliath,
Mm.
and it was just like I learned all the songs, and then I went and I was like, wait, this I don't remember this song having a 20-minute saxophone solo.
Yeah. See, that's a
But
that's
I
a cool thing.
respected that so much.
About them and many other jam bands where there's a basic structure to the song,
Mm-hmm.
but there's parts of the song where you can like clearly go off on tangents, and like
Yeah.
as long as you're all on the same page, you guys are obviously comfortable jamming with each other, and like you kind of know like, hey, the solo's coming to an end, or like, hey, we're gonna start really mellow and build up to some kind of crescendo here. Like you can kind of feel that out without having to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
like
we do have to talk about it. But I think more for my case, like I feel I'm the most difficult when it comes to we can't have a 20-minute song, guys. No one knows who we are. No one wants to listen to that. Like, I definitely like push back the most against that. But originally it was you saying I'm gonna do this move or like give this look or do this hand sign to cue the solos over. But it kind of very organically got a lot less centralized. A lot of it's now Jacob will give like 2 quick cracks of a different drum beat, or I'll just cut out for like 5 seconds, like take a deep breath and go back into something structured. We for sure a lot more organically kind of take solos and decide like, all right, that solo's over now.
Yeah, that's the plan for sure, to decentralize it more. I've been trying to.
Yeah.
different ways of like signaling without having to speak about it. Like whether you cut out, like you were saying, you cut out in your bass for the end of a measure or something.
Yeah,
or,
get everyone's attention just to
yeah,
get everyone back in. Yeah.
yeah, something's about to drop there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel like for me, it's not that hard to figure out. Just jamming, like, all right, the part is changing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to roll with that, and like it might be more sudden or abrupt. Like Jake, it might like doo, and then we'll go something else,
Yeah.
or it might be longer and more drawn out. But at the same, you just have to listen,
yeah.
pay attention to what's going on around you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like about jamming. Like you have to be present. You have to be
Mhm.
like there.
You have to be actively paying
Watching.
attention to what everybody else is
Yeah,
doing.
not- you can't just
just
go-
be lost in your own little world.
Yeah, you can't just be going through the motions of the same song you played
Yeah.
100 times through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a lot of like taking risks and changing stuff and sounding
Yeah.
bad, but then
Yeah, sometimes you're playing and
Comes
it's
together.
like, wow, that sounds like shit.
yeah.
But
I
that's
know
what,
not to do
that's
that
what
next
rehearsal's
time.
for. Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna do that next
So
time.
you learn.
Exactly.
That's the only way to learn is like to learn what not to do or what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And then you figure out ways of doing the things that you do want to do. It.
I mean, every band does that too. Like, I'm a big Snarky Puppy fan, like the Jazz.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Snarky Puppy.
and I've seen them do like one of their best songs, in my opinion, "What About Me," which is historically a very guitar-heavy solo and a lot quicker than a lot of their songs. But this one show, like they gave it the keyboardist to solo. And it was just a snooze fest the whole time. And he kept like trying new ways. Oh, I'll play like this instead, but he just couldn't undo the snooze. And then he was just 10 minutes.
Undo the snooze.
And it was just 10 minutes of him trying to find something like funky that could like fill what was normally just like a very shreddy guitar solo, and it just didn't happen. I'm like, all right, well now they know never to, or at least if they do give him the solo, he's like, I need to think of something. I just can't make it up like that because it fell flat on its face. Like people were going to get their next beer during it. It was not what you want for one of their most iconic solos. But even guys like that have went to school for music and playing together for 15, 20 years, they're still learning.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see things like that when somebody's in for like a save or something. Like if something happens to the guitarist, like so his string breaks or something right before his solo, and then it's like you see them look at the keyboard and it's like, you need to carry this for a minute, and then like they need to like figure something out. So I don't know if that's what happened there, but you do see things like that happen live sometimes, and it's like pretty interesting when you see somebody try and cover.
Yeah, we worked through it. Like for our recording of our album, we were singing a cover of Rage Against the Machine, and then I kind of forgot he had a solo, and then we're like, okay, we'll just do it.
Yeah,
next chorus we was like understood.
Yeah, like because the solo was supposed to be after the first chorus, but he went right into the second verse, so it was like, okay, we're doing the second verse. Back to the verse.
Just like.
And like it was fine because there's not really a guitar part in that song, so like it did some little like licks or something, and then I was like, oh, he's doing the verse. All right, I'll just cut out. And it was fine. I just did the solo later. Like, you just have to pay attention.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of, like, live... I don't know what some of the crazier things you remember from our live performances.
Oh, God, I've got a couple.
Well, I'll start. Like, I did Shrooms, one of our latest shows in February.
Yeah.
And some songs, like...
Yeah. That was fun.
I was not thrilled with you at the end of that set.
Yeah, he was like, you didn't care about the structure here. You just like didn't care about anything. Like some songs I was like, they're rushing me. I'm just gonna take my time. I don't care if they go past me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sing. That was fun.
Like we were on stage, and like the MC that he also like rapped one of our songs with us. Like he was looking at him like, yo, are you okay? Do you need some water? He's like, nah, we're good. And he's like lies down on stage. This is during the set, mind you. And he's like, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Like we can just jam. We can tell some stories.
Yeah.
We can
tell some stories.
And I'm just like, how about we get the fuck off the stage? We did a show at Mariachi Plaza where very very Mars Volta-esque. I forget what the song was. Oh, it was Yeah. During Yeah, like he put his guitar down or something, and he just starts like thrashing around. He had his
oh yeah,
like his stage stand for his guitar on stage, and he just like threw the biggest like roundhouse kick he could. It flew up in the air, and I'm just sitting there like doing this, and it lands like somehow it slid like the 3 feet slid between my arms and neck of the bass, but the top of it didn't. And like the bottom feet got tangled on my cable, and like the neck of it was resting on top of like my wrist and the neck of the guitar, and I'm like trying to play my part and shake it off, and he just like stop singing, come over and help me like wrestle it off. Like,
oh no.
I didn't see it coming. I'm just like looking out at the crowd and just
Yeah, well, sometimes, you got to do things like that. Like you're saying, to shock the crowd. Well, maybe sometimes you got to shock your band members a little bit.
Yeah, no, it woke me up for sure.
On your toes, yeah.
keep people on their toes.
Constant vigilance, Andrew.
Yeah.
Constant vigilance.
Yeah, it's the shows always fluctuate for sure, and the energy too. And now we're collaborating with other people, which is nice. We get different energies now. Like we played this last show with like one of the best singers I know, like from Mexico. He came and he's just like he's kind of pop, but he's like very dramatic, very R&B.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the guy that came the other day. I saw him at the
Yeah,
studio, right? Yeah. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's tight.
Incredible voice, yeah.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, not like us. Well, not like me.
But even that, like it was a very busy week for all of us, and he told us like, hey, he has this song on YouTube, learn it, and we all meant to.
I straight up forgot.
Nobody did.
Well, Jacob and I
straight up
meant
forgot
to learn it, and then we got there, and it's like, you guys didn't rehearse this, and we're like, should we all like just put our headphones in?
He sent it like a week before rehearsal, so I saw it and I was like, okay, I have a week to learn this. File it away to the back of my mind. I have more pressing things to deal with. And then it was like, it was Wednesday, and I was out all day on Wednesday, and then I was downtown with my friends, and I was just like, I forgot to learn that song.
But it worked, and we learned it like.
Yeah, we all literally put in headphones, listened to it through once, and then we played it once or twice with a backing track, and then we had it, and he was like, and he said, I don't know if he said all, but he definitely said to you, like, yo, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
they
he was
literally
very
learned it
impressed.
right there, and we ran through it a dozen times at the same rehearsal. Like,
He was like, I never met musicians that were so fast at like learning something like that. Just cool.
I think that comes with the practice of like of jamming and stuff so much, is that you're always, like you're saying, like on your toes, so to speak. Like musically, you're kind of on your toes. Like what you do in the next measure, you might not know. So like you have to be able to change immediately and pick up exactly what's going on in the next measure or something. Like I think there's something about that. I was actually talking to somebody about this morning too, because it was someone who was not a musician, so I was trying to explain the differences between like learning theory and sheet music and reading sheet music and stuff like that. And most of the people that I know that learned that way first for years and years, it stifled their creativity so much that it was harder for them to. Most of my friends that have learned that way, when I try to say, just make something up, it's like they have a hard time just like making something up on the spot. Not all of them. Some of them can just do it and just like play and whatever.
The problem with a lot of music theory, I think, is that it's not like immediately applicable to anything anybody's doing on their instrument. Like if you go and take a music theory class, you'll learn a lot about music theory, but you don't learn how to take that theory and transfer it to your instrument, which is what you really need. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point. I don't know enough about theory to I mean, I know bits and pieces, and every once in a while I'll pick some more back up. And
if you learn the circle of fifths,
yeah,
that's the best thing to learn.
Yeah,
by far.
That's what I found too.
Yeah,
is that being able to, because you learn how to go from one key to another key.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually don't even know the circle of fifths.
I don't
really.
I know the basics of it, but I don't really have it like memorized on how to get from one key to
have like
another.
this on my phone, this picture of John Coltrane circled fifths.
Oh,
it. It's
yeah, that's like a whole other mathematics like that he drew too. I'll try and post a clip of that. Whatever that is.
Theory is mostly math, but yeah, like because that's like all of my friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Even, like, and there's two really good musicians in that ska band still, but they are very theory centric, and that's good for them. But I can't take, like, we have a saxophone player who's incredibly intelligent musician. He plays keyboard, he plays flute, he plays saxophone. He's super good at music. He minored at it, and yeah, he knows so much theory. And that's great for him and when he writes his own stuff, but then he'll bring me in and say, okay, like, we're playing like the Mixolydian scale, and then we're gonna switch to like a third, and then we're gonna do like a Lydian scale after we've established that. And I'm telling him, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, what scale is that? Like, that's what I know. And it's like a real, I don't think it's helped him because it's kind of put him in this ivory tower where he doesn't understand how most other people are playing. Yeah. And that's not to say I don't want to learn it, but I agree with Jordan that, like, things like being able to, like, learn by ear and to listen to a song and go, okay, this is for sure the root note. And, like, the little things, like, it sounds happy, so I'm going to try this pattern I've learned. It sounds sad, I'm going to try this pattern I learned. It's a very different way of going about it.
By far the most important skill as a musician is your ear. It's better than any music theory you'll ever learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like, I know a lot of music theory, but your ear is way better.
Yeah, because you know you can express yourself better if you're listening to a sound and knowing the type of sound that you would have put it on top of it instead of putting that into numbers and theory.
Exactly. Like, no amount of music theory is gonna help you get what's in your head to like a recording.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a wider conversation on like access and elitism in music, which comes from, like, I studied music too for a while, for like a good 2 years, but it was like very like jazz center. I started to play a bunch of instruments. It was like very like a diligent and like thorough like music theory time I had in my life, and I don't think I could do a lot of the things I'm doing right now without it. But at some point, when we're playing. Like, when we were playing with the ska band, people were like, okay, play this in concert C, or we got this and that. And I'm like, just play, and I'll listen, and I'll play accordingly.
That's how I am.
And, like, right now, like, I don't, like, when we're playing, I don't want to play the Iolic scale or the, like, I know some scales, and they're definitely helpful, but I just play. And That's something
All of
I.
your podcast viewers that like have study music are vomiting, by the way, right now. Just so you-
Yeah, sometimes I just play, and it's fine to just like play. Sometimes I don't know what I'm playing. I don't know if that makes sense with a scale, and sometimes I just like move my hand and it
People
works.
get caught up in scales, but scales are just tools.
They're
Yeah.
tools.
I think it's exactly. I think it's important to know note intervals, which are
Yeah.
in scales, which are kind of like what the scales are. If you look at the scale as like a complete ladder,
Yeah.
but like knowing an interval, I think knowing those intervals by memory and by listening, I think is probably the most important
Yeah.
tool, because then you really know how to express from one tone to another
Yeah.
the feeling or mood or whatever it may be
Mhm.
that you're trying to get across.
Yeah, and you can hear like you can kind of tell what scale or what like patterns you can play, even very like at the spot.
Yeah, especially the guitar is very pattern based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And then
agree.
bass is just guitar with two less strings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you play one wrong note, you just slide to the next one, or
Exactly.
If you
just
play one
embrace
wrong-
it and be like, okay,
Hey,
like,
well-
I'll just bend it a little. I don't know.
Yeah. Repetition legitimizes.
I've heard that. Like, if you mess something up, play it again. If
Yeah,
you play it
exactly.
more than once, you meant to do it.
If you play exactly,
Yeah. If you can do it the same way twice, then it wasn't.
it
an
definitely
accident.
it wasn't a mistake. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like, there's
It might have been the first time, but the second time.
Yeah.
And now nobody knows the first time was a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
can't take
interesting.
yourself too seriously too.
No, I
But
think
seriously
it's important to make those mistakes too, and then because that's how you learn, or you realize that a lot of what music is. I mean, for me too, is when it comes to like experimenting and stuff, is they are mistakes. Even though it
Yeah.
sounded good, like it was something I just kind of stumbled upon. It wasn't something that like I've like really put a lot of thought into. So a lot of the times it's just something that I stumbled upon, and it kind of was almost a mistake. And if like you're saying,
Yeah.
if you recreate that mistake,
Yeah.
it was on purpose. If
Exactly.
you experiment and you learn from it and realize what you do and do not want to do, then I think there's a lot taken away from that, you know?
Yeah, and just
Definitely.
embrace it and have fun. Like after all our shows, I'm like, that was fun. Or like after every song, I'm like, that was fun.
If
even
it's
if we
not
messed up.
fun, why are you doing that?
Yes.
I've
I
seen some
agree.
people, some jazz musicians that I've seen live, like after the show, like we go somewhere else and they're like, oh man, like they're watching the videos of the performance. I'm like, I fucked up the tempo here. Like they're like beating themselves up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys play great. Like, should we just, that looked really fun.
Nobody
I
in the
don't know.
audience noticed.
Right.
Musicians get so
Yeah.
upset about that, but
Yeah.
I guarantee you, nobody in the audience noticed. Unless you forgot every single word or your entire part, nobody noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time I know for like every show I was that way for a very long time. Especially like I was
Yeah.
very guilty of the hey man, someone comes up, hey man, nice show, and I'm like, oh really, I fucked up this.
Like,
Thanks man.
I
But
fuck
yeah,
up every
that's all-
I fuck up every show. It's just part of playing. Like,
Yeah.
Same.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Same.
And just don't fuck up yourself. I remember we did Explosion at Mariachi. I like messed up the bass intro, and then I actively heard like an like on Guitar Hero when you like miss a note or something. I was like, other than that, I've never like had a mistake at a show that was like he obviously screwed up. Like that was like only instance where I'm like,
If
no,
you're doing-
everyone knows.
If
I
you're
just
doing a
beat
cover
that.
and it's a
Like,
song everybody knows and you mess up, okay, people are gonna notice. But if it's your song, nobody's gonna notice.
That's
if
the
you
thing.
mess
I feel
up.
like most even most fans, like even of your song, don't know it well enough to
you definitely know the music better than them.
yeah, exactly. And you can do things on the fly anyway.
I'm trying to give the background. Remember how we got on that particular topic.
something I kind of just want to share.
Sure.
Do it.
Why does everybody vape now? Can you just like think about 2 years ago, 2017? Like maybe
Yeah.
you knew some people who vaped, but it was a few.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to vape, you had to like call the guy who vaped.
Yeah.
Everybody vapes now.
I don't
I don't
know.
get
it's,
it.
It's too crazy. It's too much everywhere. You know what I think it is? I think it's the tobacco industries targeting younger crowds.
I think it is too. Like
Yeah.
because
a lot of
I started vaping a couple of years ago to quit smoking, and it helped me quit
Yeah.
smoking.
yeah.
As long as
Which
you
is what it
don't
started out as,
replace your
exactly.
smoking with that, like I did it instead of anytime I was gonna smoke, I would just cave and have like a hit of the vape pen. The problem is it made it too convenient for people to smoke the vape, so they're laying in bed just watching Netflix
Yeah,
vaping.
exactly.
Instead of having to go outside to smoke a cigarette, they're just vaping all day,
Yeah.
and it actually made their addiction to nicotine even worse.
Yeah, I vaped a bunch with there's a bunch of great flavors and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around the time I realized they were selling cotton candy, I was like, okay, if you're not allowed to put a camel cartoon because that's targeted to kill children,
You
like,
definitely should.
like what grown ass man goes to like, I want some cotton candy flavored cigarette. Like that's what I'm.
Right.
Yeah.
I was watching Netflix and like smoking caramel crust
Yeah,
or
like
vanilla crust. I don't know
like
what
just
it was.
bake a pie, dude. Like what are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah, I think they found a way to target like very young crowds without like a lot of the parents even knowing that the kid is even vaping. Like the kid, they smell cotton candy something coming from a room. Like they don't even know that that's
Yeah, it's
a
not
vape
it doesn't
nicotine
smell
thing.
anything like nicotine. Yeah.
Yeah. And whether it has nicotine in it or not, like
Yeah.
it's just one step is going to lead to
Exactly.
the other.
It's one.
So it's like
it's
now
a
you're
fine
smoking
line, yeah.
something, and it's like not good. Just for me, whenever it came to vaping, I didn't like the way that it feels in my lungs. Even when I would do it, when I was trying to quit smoking, I would actually still even prefer to take a hit of a cigarette than I would the actual vape.
yeah.
The water vapor is like, it just doesn't feel like you're supposed to inhale
Yeah.
vapor.
Yeah.
And not that you should be inhaling smoke either, but it feels
different.
completely
No, I
different.
feel you. Like I don't smoke nicotine or anything like that, but when I smoke pot or if I hit like the vape, a wax pen,
Yeah.
You smoke
it's
pot?
definitely a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
in my
It
lungs.
doesn't feel
It's
right.
heavier.
It's heavier, yeah.
because
It
there's
makes
water
me
in it,
cough
right?
more, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really like it.
I used to have a hookah addiction. I would just like do tricks all day. That was like it was like very relaxing to just take smoke in and just do tricks.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, that's a problem for sure. And vaping equally. I mean, to those amounts.
Yeah. On occasion, I guess it's okay. I mean, for me personally, like I don't even really smoke weed anymore.
Yeah.
So like I don't actually inhale any smoke anymore. So for now, if I hit anything, it's like weird to me. I
Mhm.
used to smoke a lot, but now it's like I've gotten out of the habit of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's actually feels weird for me to do it again,
Yeah.
which is actually good.
Better.
Yeah, it's just a better
Definitely.
habit to be in.
Definitely.
But I know what you mean about just being like, well, I never got super into hookahs or anything like that. But I
It's very
imagine.
relaxing.
Yeah.
It's weird because I live in the Middle East for a bit, and it's a lot of like just like sitting down and just having hookah for like hours,
Mhm.
and then you're just like breathing really slow, which is very relaxing and it's great for your breathing. But then you're also just breathing a lot of stuff too, which
Yeah.
is not great for your breathing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like the people you're around. You know, like during my life, I had smoked like 3 cigarettes in my life.
Mhm.
Then I went to Jordan, and the first
The
like
country, not the.
the
guitarist.
I
There's
went
a country named after me.
the country Jordan in in the Middle East, and the first 3 hours I had like 5 cigarettes.
Wow.
Just like from the taxi driver, he was just like have this, and then it's very like the people you're around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's important. I mean, I know everyone says that your closest 5 friends or 3 friends or 4 friends define who you are more than anything else.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would agree with that. In fact, that's actually, it was harder for me. I actually like slowed down on drinking and stuff lately too. And what I did was, I think it was last year, I took a break for 30 days. I just wanted to give myself a total clean break for 30 days. Because I had a few other friends that did it, and they were like getting really healthy and stuff, and I was like, I'll do it. Like I'll set a limit, 30 days, and then after that I can drink again. And it's not like I wasn't trying to like never drink again or anything like that. It was like it kind of like test yourself, but at the same time like it allowed me to look at how much drinking is in American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh,
if
I
you
do
stop
too
drinking, if you stop drinking completely for a couple of weeks, you'll really see how it's absolutely everywhere. It's in all the movies. It's in
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
It's all over Instagram. It's just like a drinking culture, and that's completely fine because it's legal, and like drinking is legal.
The stigma.
It's so
between
strange.
Pot and alcohol is so insane.
And
Well,
it's-
pot
it's-
is
and,
much
like,
more acceptable now too.
But honestly,
In LA,
like,
it definitely is,
pot's
but-
better for you. I mean, I pitch it to my roommates all the time because they're super like, oh no, weed's terrible, weed's bad, but like
Safer
they'll
than
drink,
alcohol.
they'll drink and whatever. But I was like,
That's what- I know.
I was like, I spent $20 on this jar, which is gonna last me like the month. You spent $20 on a like 12-pack. It's gonna last you the night until you go to buy more slightly later in the night.
Yep.
Mhm.
You're gonna probably throw up. You're like you're gonna need someone to like babysit you while you're out in public. Like you're not gonna remember parts of what happened. Like I'm gonna eat a couple cookies. And
Yeah.
If you don't want to smoke weed because you don't like weed, that's fine. But don't try and get on your high horse and be like, I
Yeah.
don't smoke weed because it's
No, then
terrible.
throw a
and
shot
then
back.
and then you're sitting there drinking whiskey. Like,
Yeah, it's just interesting how like it's just everywhere. It's just
Yeah.
everywhere and everything. I can't and it's weird to go to because I love live music and stuff. It's weird to like go to a show and be out in public and like for me, I don't drink a lot or anything. But you feel weird if you don't have a drink in your hand.
you kind
If you're out in public, it's like
Yeah.
kind of like
It's the image.
you need to
It's-
have something to sip on. So I usually do seltzer lime or something if I'm trying not to drink while I'm out.
Where we're
But-
at too as musicians, like we're only playing bars, really. Like we played mariachi, but other than that, it's mostly like playing bars, and like they give you drink tickets. Like
Yeah.
and it's like, well, all right, like it's assumed
That's
like
basically
this is
how
like
they
what
pay you,
like
yeah.
yeah,
Partial
this is your-
payment.
This is your perk, your
Yeah.
free drink that you were probably gonna get. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and like last show, I was like,
what
you
if I don't
know,
want it?
we gotta
Get
consume in the
cash
bar.
instead?
Yeah, and last show we were like, we have to like consume at the bar because you know that's kind of how everything comes down. Like when
Yeah,
the venue
you almost
opens,
feel guilty.
you gotta
yeah,
consume.
like the bar needs to sell drinks for it to make it worthwhile for us to be here.
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
it's like it's like this is it. Like you guys don't want to just sell like sandwiches. Or,
I wish
like,
the bar sent maracuya water or something. I don't know. I went to Berlin. They just gave me maracuya water like at 3 a.m. in like a club, and that's dope. Like here, you have to kind of like just have something that is pretty intense sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting. It's weird that it's just like all over our society. It's just kind of everywhere, you know.
And alcohol is cool sometimes.
Yeah, and it's fine, but it's like way more damaging than most hallucinogenics. Like at least hallucinogenics are more introspective. Not to say that you should be out roaming around doing crazy stuff when you're on hallucinogens. But right, exactly. But it's weird that that's illegal
I know.
and that alcohol is so widely accepted through our culture. And it's just like everywhere. It really opened my eyes when I stopped drinking for 30 days. Because by the end of that
All of
30
a sudden
days, I
you were
was like,
seeing it
holy crap.
everywhere, yeah.
Like, I can't believe... I
You
can't
don't
go
need it.
anywhere. I can't hang out with anyone
There's
on any
alcohol
night
when
of the
you're
the
week
only guy at the bar
without...
asking for a thing of pineapple juice. That's
Yeah,
it.
without anyone, like, if I hang out with anyone on any night of the week, it's like most of the time they're going to be bringing some beers or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. That's like,
It
it's
makes-
just
yeah.
so common.
What happened to the good old days of board games?
Yeah, but you know,
Picking
board games are more fun with a
Smash
couple of
Bros.
beers. That's what happened. No, I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, it's like veganism or any like decision you take that will take you away from mainstream
Yes.
society and culture. Like
Mhm.
it's gonna come back to you where you can hang out in the same spaces like a lot of people,
Mhm.
or you can, but then I
it's
don't know.
not as easy.
Yeah, and it definitely, you know, like I've been vegan for like a year, and I don't want to talk about veganism a lot, but like
Yeah,
a
but
lot
you
of the
brought it up,
people.
I mean, so-
No, it's good.
A lot
We
of the
should
people
talk about
around
it.
me made a difference because
Yeah.
sometimes I would like hang out with people and I would be like, okay, I can maybe have this salad, and if I hang out with other people, it's like, okay, wherever we are, I'm gonna have access to, you know, whatever choices. It's gonna be easier.
Mhm.
So you know, if you're surrounded by people who drink or don't drink or are supportive of your choices, that's nice.
Yeah.
Whether that's in alcohol or in food or in politics or with music.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So that's nice that these people like are down with what we're doing,
Mhm.
with like just
Yeah.
having fun
Yeah.
rather than just being judgy and getting on a high horse and being like, if we don't play this scale, if we don't play this form like that.
Mhm.
You know, we played shows where like bands that open before us are like we played a show in Mariachi Plaza, and this band that was like playing before us was like, hey man, can you tell this old person who's like playing a cowbell to shut up on our set? I'm like, dude, man, you tell them. Like,
Oh, it was a person in their band?
yeah, they were like about to play, and they were like, a person was just playing cowboy with like every band. They were just like a community member was just like,
Yeah, it was
just
just
like an
having a good
open...
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and I think that's, you know, if you see music as a spectrum of like left and right, you know, like
Mhm.
I personally want to be in the lower left corner where like I want to play with anyone, even if you don't know how to play an instrument. I
Yeah.
want to be on stage with you, and I want to discover what that is.
Yeah, if you're feeling it and you want to try something out.
Yeah.
That's actually
You
that's something I
definitely
wanted
should.
to ask you about because this is something you could teach me. because we have a lot of different people come through like that play with us. Like I'm glad that like we've got Lifter coming to rap with us all the time. But Demise saw us play once. I want to rap with them. We had Natalie. We bring in Jay sometimes. We had
just anyone
Jean,
who wants to play, even if they don't know, even if they don't.
But that's like my question for you is like, where do you find like all these people that are interested in playing with us? And sometimes I see it when we played the first show. Demise got us. We had that one guy who was like, hey, I was gonna rap, but I saw you guys play. Can you guys just come up with some shit real fast, and I'll just come on stage and rap for 5 minutes over
fun.
you? Like, yeah, like that was cool. But like, where do you find all these people that just want to come and play with us? That are just, and even Eduardo to a point, just like, oh yeah, like I'm sure these guys can do something I can play with.
Yeah, we just tell people like, we play a show and people are like, that's dope, man. Like I've been playing like guitar or this for a while and I've been meaning to. And I'm like, let's just fucking come like next week. Like let's do something, whatever. Like, damn, like just have fun. It's good for us because we try something new. It pushes us. We expand our networks and like our style, and it's a good time. Why wouldn't
Yeah, I agree. I do something similar actually with my friends. Like most Friday nights, we don't play out. We usually play here, and I just have a couple of friends here, and but it's so different. You invite one person, like it just adding to that group. There's normally 4 of us, but if there's one other person here. It changes the whole dynamic of the whole thing, and then the following week there'll be a different person that comes, and it changes the whole dynamic. So like when you throw a couple of people in the mix too, it gets really, really interesting. You do some things that you never thought was possible. That I think that's always the fun part too. It's almost like like a dream or a psychedelic experience or something. Like you go into it with like a certain roundabout idea, like I'm gonna go to sleep now, but you have no
even
real
as much
expectations.
as you might try not to, but it's always different.
You can't really have any set expectations of what's really going to happen when there's going to be some kind of open experiment like that, and you're always surprised at the end. Like whether there's always some good stuff and there's always some bad stuff, but there's always surprise at the end, and
filter it
and there's, I feel like, learning. I think that the most powerfully is like the learning throughout the process. Is always like seems to be. Yeah,
and that's what's up. Like if you're not learning and growing and changing, like every show we play a different set. Every show we play, we treat it as its own unique thing, and we're unique in that, all of us.
Yeah.
Like if you at the end of every practice by yourself with your band, even shows, like you should feel like you're a better musician.
Yeah. And sometimes, we get after practice and we're jamming, and sometimes I'm like, it's kind of sucked a little, but then
sometimes we have bad days, and
it works out.
Those are the days you need the most, truthfully.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes you need those bad days, or some days where you're like, you don't feel like you're making enough progress, because that'll make you strive harder next time. Be like, what can I do to like make myself better? What do I need to do? Do I need to practice scales more? Do I need to listen to more music? Do I need to listen to different stuff?
You should always listen to more music.
Yeah. Always the answer.
Honestly, yeah.
Always the answer.
Challenging.
Yeah.
You shouldn't settle.
As a musician, you definitely should.
Yeah.
And that's great.
So that's like being an author that doesn't read books. Like,
exactly.
How are you gonna know what other good people are doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's great. I don't know about these guys, but like I've been on stages where like I don't want to be there, where we're playing things that I'm not growing, where I'm like tell the structure and I'm a performer. I'm not like an artist. I'm not like I'm just like and that feels dirty, and I don't wish that to anyone. So
there is always a struggle between performer and artist.
Yeah, and I mean for me, music is like an art. Is like sacred. Like getting on a mic too. Like sharing words is a responsibility. Like when you're
words of power. Yeah,
if I get on stage and I'm telling people what's up, if I'm lecturing people, if I'm like sharing something, like that's a responsibility, and it should be treated as that. When you start putting money or like fame or like an image into the mix, and just corrupts or like influences what should be organic and what should be inspiring other people to be themselves.
I agree. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, well, on that note, I think maybe we should end on that.
I ain't got nothing more profound in the tank than that.
That was solid.
Anything deeper than that.
I thank you guys so much for being here. I was gonna go. I was gonna go off on some tangents, but I think that's probably the best way to end it. I like that you guys are active in society and culture and things that are going on, and you're always trying to be at the forefront of like, you know, what's positive for the culture, you know. And I think that's great.
We're what makes us happy, I think, and as long as that's your main focus, everything else will get pretty easy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if you all have the same common goal, like when it comes to like that and music and striving towards something, I think that's awesome. And I thank you guys so much for being here. I like you guys a lot, and I look forward to seeing all the things that are coming up. How do just in case anyone wants to find you, how is the Instagram, right?
Instagram's at Stone the Rich.
Instagram
right?
is at Stone the Rich. I'm off of Instagram for now because technology, and that's great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, if you put Stone the Rich or the Maya Gasol Experiment for our older stuff, you know, YouTube, you'll find it.
Cool.
iTunes, just like
Yeah, we have
Spotify.
stuff on Spotify now, right?
Yeah,
Apple Music.
Awesome.
The first album that the project kind of grew out of is on Spotify.
The Maya Gazal.
I
the
don't know if it's on Apple Music.
Maya
It's on
Gasol.
Gasol.
It is on Apple
It
Music.
is on Apple Music.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
just hit us up. Get my number.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Like, I'll invite you personally to the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah,
Some
come
good
do a
chill.
show. Yeah.
Definitely will do. Guys, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Imaginary. This separation is painful.